Parashat Devarim, Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat right before Tisha B'Av, the bleak black day of Jewish history. We lost both temples, the Spanish Inquisition, the Nuremberg decrees, a tragic day in Jewish history. And it's fascinating that this is also a time of war in Israel. And it's a difficult war. It's a problematic war. Certainly we're winning against Hamas and the missiles and rockets that they're sending throughout Israel. Certainly there are miracles every day. But there are also terrible casualties. And I hate the word casualty, because there's nothing casual about death. And it's true about the death of Israelis, and it's true about the death of innocent babies, young people, Palestinians. And Hamas puts us in a terrible position. They have their military caches from which they're sending out missiles of death throughout Israel, within very heavily population-filled areas in Gaza. And while we send out leaflets telling everyone to evacuate, because we have to destroy those missiles, they tell their people to stay, because they want to garner world opinion against us. And therefore this is a very difficult war to fight. But let me try to discuss one other thing. It seems fascinating that Tisha B'Av, the week of the 9 days, Rosh Chodesh Av, a time when, as you can see, I'm not shaving, a time of Jewish mourning. It seems very important, coincidental, but you know that in Judaism there are no coincidences. A coincidence is only God's way of telling us that He's in control, even if it be anonymously. That this is a period of Jewish suffering for us now in Israel. But what I'd like to discuss today with you is the fact that the suffering of the Jewish people during the Holocaust, the suffering that we're experiencing now during this difficult war, Tzuk Eitan, is qualitatively a different kind of suffering. And herein lies the true secret of the tremendous period in which we live. One of our children of Efrat, Yuval Hyman, was one of the first sacred korbanot, sacrifices of this war. Yuval was born and circumcised in Efrat, bar mitzvahed in Efrat, went to one of our Torah schools. The Hyman family, suffice it to say, 4 generations of the Hyman family live in Efrat. Yuval's grandfather, Yehuda, attends my Daf Yomi Shir every morning. Silversmith, artist, an educator of art, a very special human being with his wife Malka. But as I said, 4 generations of Hymans. There were 4 Hymans who were murdered in the War of Independence in Israel. This branch of the Hyman family, many, many cousins, all in Efrat. Deeply religious, deeply committed. All of Yuval's uncles were leaders in the IDF. And Yuval himself, an excellent student, winner of many trophies, sports, volunteerism, B'nai Akiva. A very special young man. In Bad 1, Aleph, officers training, one of their most special students, Hashem Yikom Damo. When I walked into the Shiva house, the grandfather, Yehuda, embraced me, he wept, and I wept. And then Yehuda took hold of himself. And he said to me, in this house of mourning there is no weeping. There are no tears. In this house of mourning there is an atmosphere of zchut, of privilege. The first generation of Tekuma, our generation of rebirth. Later on, when I sat with Moshe and Zahara, Yuval's parents, of course we'll cry, they said, but at night into our pillows. We do feel the sense of zchut, of merit, of privilege, despite the intolerable grief which we feel as well. Let me try to explain a little bit of what that zchut means. Because I mentioned that there were 4 members of the Haydn family who fell in the War of Independence. And the brother of the great-grandfather of Yuval, right after the tragedy of the fall of the fort, established a new settlement, Nechalim. At the time of the establishment of Nechalim, he gave a speech. And he said, now I am comforted. Because mourners are blessed with the phrase, Hamakom yirachem etchem b'toch sharvei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Almighty comfort you among the mourners of Zion in Jerusalem. But the name for the Almighty which is used is Hamakom, the place, because the Midrash says the whole world is God's place. Yehuda's uncle, Yuval's great-grandfather, great-granduncle. He, in his speech, explained, why do we use the term Hamakom, the place, for God's name? Why not Hashem? Why not Elohim? He said, I'm comforted at the death of the 4 members of my family. During the time of the Holocaust, there was no comfort, because the deaths were so meaningless, so absurd. Now Hamakom menachemoti, the place comforts me. The new settlement which we founded, Nechalim, and we came the long way to Nechalim without having been accosted by people who tried to kill us and keep us from going to our new settlement. The place, New Israel, the 3rd Commonwealth, which hopefully will lead to redemption and peace. This time, We've taken Jewish destiny in our hands. This time, we're not mere victims. This time we're doing whatever we have to do for the future of our nation, for our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, for the future of the free world fighting against terrorism. The place comforts us all among the mourners of Zion in Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom.